Welcome to the Infinite Evolution Podcast, where you'll receive keys and codes to help you unlock your next level of joy, radiance, health, wealth, intuition, embodiment, and soul purpose. This is a space for lightworkers, healers, spiritual entrepreneurs, and anyone who wants to share their soul gifts with the world. We'll be exploring personal, spiritual, and professional growth and ascension through both the esoteric and magical and the tangible and practical. I'm Casey Aileen Knight, coach, mentor, as well as divine channel and soul gift activator. I founded the Luminous Evolution brand to help you elevate your business and beingness and light up the world. So glad you're here. Let's dive in. So I did a ceremony for myself the other day, and it was pretty intense. I cried, I sobbed, and that's saying something because I am normally pretty stoic. I might get frustrated and a little snippy, but it is rare, at least nowadays, that I sob, weep, cry, unless I'm sitting in session with clients and my eyes leak all the time when we're in the deep transformation. But usually that is weeping because of the love, the divine love that we tap into, that we get wrapped up into. Oh my goodness. That's a story for another day. But I wanted to share with you, really candidly, part of my evolution, my evolutionary journey has been to learn how to actually really work with my emotions and the element of water. I used to be very uncomfortable with them. In fact, I grew up as a preteen and teen revering Spock from Star Trek, you know, the Vulcan, who struggled with his emotions, but he did try to emulate the Vulcan ways of logic and rationality. And I just thought that was so amazing. I was like, you can do that? Oh, perfect. That's what I'm going to try and aim for. So that was how I like to roll. And when Star Trek The Next Generation came around, I was like, ooh, Data. That he was very sexy android with his lack of emotions. I was like, yes, this is for me. This is the life that I would like to experience. And it's not that I never showed emotion, but I was very uncomfortable with it. I didn't have a lot of good experiences with heightened emotions, at least. I had a lot of experiences where heightened emotions meant they were bad. Bad things were happening. There was yelling, there was crying, it was scary. And I had some good heightened emotions, but I just really only liked the good ones. I didn't have a safe place to express my other ones. This was kind of the beginning of the hyper-independence trauma response that I had, where I also wanted to not let anybody know that I had any feelings because it just didn't ever go well for me. And so I stopped bringing it up. So shutting a lot of things down, becoming, a rock, and I was always all good. And it really, truly went on that way. Where I would just, sometimes express frustration and anger and joy, but, rarely sadness. Rarely would I show the depths of my sadness or anything like that until I was working and being initiated into the elemental mysteries as a priestess and creation coach, working with one of my first mentors, Lisa Michaels, in the natural rhythms body of work, where she brought through the elemental expressions of the unified field. And she has the elements equated to different realms. And these will be familiar to you. This is not absolutely new, but the way she brought it through was very different and channeled. But there was earth, the physical realm, the body. Spirit is the realm of essence. Air is the mental realm. Fire is the realm of action and illumination. And then there was water, which is the emotional realm. And I did not like learning about water. I was uncomfortable with it, and it was not my go-to. And yet, those things that we resist, that we fear, that we don't like, that's always the thing that we need the most, right? At least this is how it works out for me. If I am like put off by something, if I don't like something, chances are it's going to be like my way forward. Let me know if this is something that you experience as well. And when I learned how water actually works to give life, the power of water being love, and about how we need our full expression of emotion to be whole human beings who can create, I started to realize how limited I had been. And I started to thaw some of my emotions. And that was a rough process. Oh my goodness. Now, thank goodness I was actually in a new situation where I had met some of my soul family, some beautiful friends, and my husband, who at the time was my boyfriend or maybe even fiance. And, you know, they were explaining to me that, like, you need to feel your feelings. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, no, of course I don't. Yeah, it took time and I needed support and I actually needed guidance. I worked with some really amazing healers. I went on soul journeys and it took me a few years to really go through the old emotions and the old feelings that were stored in my body. And honestly, that's a process that I believe continues to this day. But I had to learn how to feel them instead of letting them get stuck inside me. If we don't feel a feeling, it gets stuffed inside of our tissues, and that can cause issues, as we know. And we actually need emotions to flow through us. Emotions, literally, are energy in motion. And if they don't flow, again, they become stagnant. And then we know what happens to water when it's stagnant, right? It's all swampy and it's full of decay and nastiness. So we have to learn how to run a clean and clear emotional current and actually let feelings and emotions flow through us, even if they're not even ours, instead of tamping them down and thinking that they're too inconvenient and that we will share them later. So I started practicing this. I started sharing more personally and letting things flow through me. But again, it was a long process that took me quite some time. But I began to work with feelings and I began to feel more fluid and I got to have so much more joy and connection. And I stopped being afraid of big feelings. I started to become a channel for them and allow like a big feeling to flow through me, kind of like a storm. But, you know, after the storm, then we have the beautiful smell and the peace and the rainbow. So I was a little too volatile, a little too passionate for a while as well. And I had to learn how to navigate my nervous system and the emotions and heal all the old traumas. And like, it was a process because there was a lot hanging out in my body, unfelt from childhood, teen years, and weird stuff that happened in my 20s. So I began this journey in my late 20s and it's continued. But now in my early 40s, and I've been working with and teaching about all of the elements, especially water, over the last decade or more, about 15 years actually. I still have this capacity to float above feelings and to spiritually bypass them, but I'm much better than I used to be. I'm really, really patient though. And it takes a lot for me to get frustrated most of the time, unless I'm tired or overwhelmed or hungry or thirsty or, you know, basically unsupported and feeling overwhelmed. Most of the time I'm pretty good because I'm pretty good at my self-care. This brings me back to the cacao ceremony. I did one for myself with some beautiful Ecuadorian cacao that one of my best friends gifted to me that was brought in from another good friend. And it was so sacred. I saved it for weeks before the right time was there, and I just knew that Saturday was the day that I was going to give myself this ceremony. And I called in sacred space and I started praying and I got into beautiful alignment. And I always have this prayer: Spirit, speak through me. May I be a channel for truth. May the divine energy flow through me. And then I just started speaking intentions out loud and into my cacao, blowing into the cacao and then sipping it. And then suddenly I'm speaking this out, this invocation, this command of, may I expand my divine service. May I expand my ability to help. And I've been being a professional helper, honestly, full-time in my internet business, Luminous Evolution, as a coach and healer and teacher for 4 or 5 years now, but for 7 or 8 years before that in other capacities, and for decades before that in other ways as well. And I do make an impact, and I do help people, and I've changed many lives. And also, I know that there's more. And I know I'm being called to a bigger mission. And if you haven't heard my story, it was very reluctant that I answered this call. I was told by Spirit I was going to be a spiritual teacher when I was like 8 years old. And I was like, not me, no. It took me a long time to come to terms with this. And I was a very reluctant channel publicly. I was always a mystic, always talking to Spirit, always talking with angels and aliens and doing all kinds of weird multidimensional mystical work. But I kept it under wraps until like 2019, unless I knew somebody well and I knew that they were going to be safe. But my role was to start sharing my voice publicly. And I knew from that prophecy when I was 8 years old, it wasn't really prophecy, it was a vision. It was given to me by God, by Spirit. It was a mystical, multidimensional experience with being wrapped up in divine love and being shown this global mission that I would have as a spiritual teacher. Again, scared the crap out of me. But it came with a sense of inevitability. I was so reluctant. And it's only been in the last couple years that I've been like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that thing. And I've been called many times. And I've answered. And I've sacrificed a lot and put in so much time and so much money. I've put myself into debt for coaches and courses to learn as much as I could. Also made, multiple 6 figures over this. I have put in the hours to hone my craft and to learn and to be mentored and to grow. And I've made so many mistakes, and I have tried so many things with this absolute faith. Like, I know where I'm headed. I know what I'm here to do. And also the outcome doesn't matter to me because I'm already doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what God is telling me to do. I am just showing up, and I am doing it without question, without concern for the outcome. But also I know this in my heart of hearts, the sense of inevitability that my impact will grow. I am here to grow exponentially, because I have codes and keys and an evolutionary codex in my being for the co-creation of the new earth that I am here to share. And I know that. And so I've been so patient in building my business and scaling my income and my impact and my visibility and the service that I'm able to provide. I've been very patient, and it's been a wild ride, a lot of ups and downs that I'll share at other times. But in this cacao ceremony, it struck me how deeply I want to be of service. Like, it is my true desire, the deepest level of my soul. I just want to help. And so I started speaking that into my cacao. May I expand my divine service. May I help. And then I started crying, weeping into the beautiful, warm chocolate that I had ceremonially prepared with cinnamon and honey and coconut milk, and this beautiful ceremonial grade cacao that I had chopped up in meditation, in prayer. I was crying into it, saying, I just want to help. I just want to help. And the sobs were racking my body. And I felt this pit in my stomach, in my heart, in my solar plexus, in my throat, crying. This desire to no longer be patient, but to just help. And I understood then that the cacao had cracked my heart open even more fully to allow that desire that I had put on the back burner through my patience, through my faith, through my trust, through my learning how to lean back and let go and surrender and be in the flow. I let that desire to really move quickly and have this beautiful flame of passion fueling me. I let that go out. And it was divinely guided for that to happen. I needed to surrender everything last year so that I could collapse my 10-year vision into one and bring through my evolutionary alchemy practitioner certification to train other people to do what I do that I thought was 10 years away. Last spring, Spirit asked me to stop everything. Stop launching things. I had masterminds and other certifications that were literally ready to go. And Spirit said, stop, don't, just be still. Be still. And in that stillness, I expanded. And I let my field relax. And I had been running on adrenaline and this desire to be of service and this need to help the last 3 years through COVID, when I brought my business online because Spirit told me to. Remember, when God says move, I move. when Spirit, when the divine says stop, I stopped. And that was the biggest leap of faith in my life. And I felt my nervous system relax and my energy field spread out. And in the nothingness, or the barely anything, I just keeping things going without adding anything new, my field expanded so much that I was able to bring in my 10-year vision. And I had no idea it was coming. It was just that suddenly one day when I was teaching, actually, because I was still keeping up one of my certifications, my Transformational Journey Facilitator certification. And suddenly we were working with fire, one of the elements to illuminate and transform. And I was in with my students in a meditation saying, fire, show us what our next right step is. And then suddenly, because I had all this space in my field, I had this entire download of how to teach my energy modality to groups of people. And it came through fully formed. I had no idea how to do it before the download came in. And then suddenly I knew in its entirety. I didn't know how to market it, didn't know when, didn't know any of that, but I knew that I could teach it. And it was funny because up until that point, I had been doing this energy alchemy modality with my one-on-one clients and in groups, but I had no plans to teach it immediately. And I thought I was going to have to teach it in an apprentice style one-on-one, where I would be just sharing with, being able to give somebody the full context, see what pieces they were missing, all of that. I thought that's how I was going to have to do it. And that would be a decade from now. But no, it dropped in fully formed. And so it took me 9 months to figure out exactly all the marketing pieces and the strategy and how I was going to put it forward, not the teaching part, but all of those other behind the scenes business things. And then I launched it about a month ago. And 16 people are becoming evolutionary alchemy practitioners this time with the beta program. But when I let everything go, which was the best choice ever because it brought through again my 10-year plan in 1 year. But I had such a hard time getting momentum back in my business. I had such a hard time after I slowed down that thoroughly. And it rearranged everything in my entire being. And I didn't really know what I was supposed to focus on. I was in some mentorship that wasn't super aligned. It was, but it wasn't. And then I had some that really wasn't. And it just very confusing. And I kind of lost my way for a little bit. And I felt like I was spinning my wheels and spinning my tires. And I was getting frustrated because things were taking longer than I wanted to. And I was ready to go, but I wasn't energetically. And so it's really only in the last 3-4 months that I feel like I've been picking up speed again. And before, it just felt agonizingly slow and nothing was happening in the speed that I desired it, that I craved it, that I normally operate at. But that's a great learning for me. Taurus rising, so slowing down, and a Sagittarius stellium that's used to going fast, but my Taurus rising, it's like, no, you're here to learn how to go slow. And I did. I think I got that now. I was ready to move quicker in my business, and I was sobbing into my cacao. I just want to help. I just want to be of deeper service. I want to bring my codes and the proven methods of helping the helpers and the healers and the light workers that I have. I wanted to bring that to more people because I see the results my clients are getting. I see and feel their energy shift. I see them go from feeling inconsistent and on a roller coaster and feeling unsupported and feeling like their gifts are like they're there, but they're just intermittent. And I help them turn their capacity to tap into the divine, like into rocket fuel. I help them become alchemists and divine channels, and their life changes, and suddenly they can tap into joy and divine love and peace and bliss and pleasure in a way that they have not. They realign with their soul purpose. They can feel that divinity inside of them, and it changes everything for these people. And I'm like, I want to help more people. Like I see so much suffering everywhere, and I am great at being compassionate, but not getting sucked in or overwhelmed by that. Like I'm good at that. I always have been. Maybe too much. I had to learn through that emotional water piece how to really feel with people. And also, my infinite patience was actually keeping me stuck. And I had this understanding as I was sobbing that my desire needed to be ignited again. I need to want it. I need to want it, and I need to make it happen because no one is coming to do it for me. No one's coming to do it for me. And this is the thing. I can do it with people. We can co-create, but I am the one in charge of my business, of my success. And yes, we can have lucky breaks and we can have support. I'm not saying that, but it is my responsibility, and I had been leaning back still too much, and I needed to kick it up a notch, and I need to want it. And it was funny because I saw a TikTok the other day before this happened of Lana Del Rey speaking of Taylor Swift and her fame and saying she's that famous because she wants it more than anyone. Self-proclaimed. She says she wants it, and she has created it. And I got goosebumps, and I'm like, right, have to want it, instead of sitting in that energy of like, but it's okay if it doesn't happen, or it'll happen when it happens. There is an element of surrender that is absolutely necessary, but desire is so important to fuel you. And the surrender piece should be this or something better, not this when it happens, or it's okay if it doesn't. Desire is this that's on my heart, that's on my soul, or something better, and you feel that burn and you do not stop. You keep following that, and it spurs you forward. It spurs you into action. And I'm not saying don't rest. Don't get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I realized I had leaned back too much, and it was all perfect. It was all divine. It was all part of learning, and I learned through trial and error. But after that piece where I had to let everything go, I didn't ever kick the desire back up, because I knew that it was all coming. It was all on the way. It was all perfect. It was divine. And I'm rolling my eyes right now because I didn't have the previous version of me before I had to let everything go. And before I also went through some fun burnouts, passion, drive, desire, right? I made my first 6 figures in sales in my first year of online business because I had this passion and this desire that was aligned with what God told me to do, which was to bring my business online. And I had this desire. I wanted it bad. And I had lost that when I was told to let go of everything. I let go of my desire too, because I had to in order to let everything go, to have the space for this next level to land. And now that thing is here. I've launched it. And now it's like, okay, what next? There's so much more that I also want to bring through, scaling what I already have and expanding some other things too. I know I'm here to be visible. I know I'm here to use my voice. This podcast is a way of doing that. The channeled messages, the interviews, the activations. And I know that this is something that gets to be around for as long as we have podcasts. It's not like a social media post that just is gonna, like fade away within a day or two. So I'm grateful for this opportunity to share my voice. And I know there's so much more. And I want it again. I want it now or yesterday or coming up really soon. I am no longer in my I'm leaned so back that I know it's going to happen eventually and it doesn't matter when energy. I am saying that I am ready now, and I am declaring this across the airways, just as I declared it as I sobbed into my cacao and I prayed and I said, help me grow into the person who can be this light, who can be the channel, who can create an even bigger impact. Help me grow into the person who is ready to hold more. Give me the wisdom, give me the knowledge that I need. Bring me into the rooms and have the synchronicities so that I can be placed in the places that I need to be so I can be of greater service to the world. So I'm declaring it here. And me from 3 years ago, I would have never shared that story of crying into my cacao because I still was not ready for that level of authenticity and honestly vulnerability because I was still healing some of those hyper independence wounds, and you can't see me that I have needs. But I'm here to teach not only from my mistakes and my lessons, but also, from my wins and just to share it all. I'm not here to be a guru. I am here to be a spiritual teacher. So is everybody. But truly, I have a lot of knowledge of spirit, and I teach people about spiritual things and how to make it practical and how to make it magical. But I'm not here to be a guru. I am always going to be putting it back into your hands. If you work with me, I am going to empower you to be your own damn channel. I will hold space. I will give you codes. I will show you how to do it, but I can't do it for you. I can support your ascension, but I can't ascend for you. I am here to always bring it back to you and empower you and inspire you and teach you and serve you and love you. And the best way I can do that, besides showing up in service, is to share authentically, candidly, the mistakes I make, the ways I screw it up, and the ways I fix it on my own evolutionary journey. And to connect you and bring you to cool stories from other people who have also gone on massive healing journeys, made a ton of mistakes, but also learned so much in the process. This is the thing. The age of the guru is over. It's time for us to be co-creators. And we each have specialization and expertise in different things and, different levels of that experience that we can share. But we have so much to learn from each other and so much to create with each other that I wanted to share my heart cracking open and my prayer, my tears. I drank the tears in the cacao. And honestly, it's interesting because after all of that, I did have spirit come in and soothe me and put a balm on me and say, it's already done. It's okay, you got this. And I instantly knew that I just needed to ignite that desire again and to own it and to work with it and the passion and the fire. And it came back. And I actually was instantly, almost over the next day or so, brought into 3 new group opportunities to connect, to learn, to grow, to serve. And when I introduced myself with a new echelon or level or octave of embodiment in my authority and my authenticity and my magic without being too serious. And I was like, yes. Because I've been working on my marketing and my messaging for a long time. It's not been a strength of mine. I've always been great at speaking and writing, but my background was so academic for a long time that just kind of didn't come across in the marketing, like to share a message to really land with people way, but working on it. Have a lot of natural strengths, and that was not one of them. But I was able to speak into what I do and how I do it with way more energy. And I was like, already that embodiment. But that came, I've been working on my marketing for and messaging really strongly for at least a year, but obviously like 3 or 4 years before that as well. And this is the evolutionary journey. You're going to suck at something, and you're going to get better at it if you work at it, if you actually allow yourself to realize that this is something that you could either grow and expand and learn, fine tune. Now you have to admit to yourself that you could improve. And of course you can with everything. So my journey of learning how to work with feelings, I am so much more masterful than I ever was, and I can sit with them and I can use them and I can work with them. And actually working with that energy of desire and passion really is using that feeling, that water energy, but also with fire, right? Like mixing all of these elements with the blend of creation that they can really bring through is the most potent thing that you can do to create, right? To bring all of the realms together. So we need the physical, we need the action steps, we need the focus and intention from the mental side, we need the feelings to magnetize it in, and we need our essence to all be aligned. I'll talk more in different podcasts, and I have programs on this and oracle cards about working with the matrix of creation that is the elemental template. But I use it myself. And I will always and forever share things on here and inside my programs and my mentorship that I actually know work because I use them myself. I will teach from my examples, from the things I use, and also from the things that I screw up or that don't work for me, because I know that is not always how your journey is going to go, but hearing other people's stories has always helped me. So here I am declaring very, very publicly this desire to serve in a bigger way. So if I can be of service to you, here I am. I'd love to help. Make sure you take a look in my links for the free resources that I share to help helpers light up the world. I'm sending you so much love. Till next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe and share this out to people that need to hear it. Tag us on social media. You can find us at The Luminous Evolution on Instagram. And keep the conversation going by joining my free sacred community, Luminous Evolution, on Facebook, and get a taste of my favorite tools and techniques inside my free Frequency Upgrade Academy. You can also join me inside my membership, mastermind, certification programs, or private coaching to be deeply supported on your evolutionary journey. Make sure to check out the links in the show notes, and cheers to your infinite, luminous evolution.